Hola amigos, bien ok, y saludos desde Medellín, otro día tan bonita aquí. Hoy es día 87, day 87, casi terminando. Y hoy quiero revisar contigo cuáles son los técnicos que nosotros hemos utilizado durante este proceso para ayudarnos en nuestros estudios. Es el tema de hoy. So today, from a really splendid bank holiday Monday, look at the sky, is that tremendous? Day 87. So I'm just going to revise briefly and talk a little bit about the different techniques we were using throughout this process to help us in our studies. So remember, principally, we're looking at a difference between vocabulary we're going to need to be familiar with, so words we're going to hear and need to understand, and then maybe like the 20% of those words that we're actually going to need to use ourselves, things we're going to need to say. So they're the two things. And alongside that, we're going to try and do practice and improve how we sound, particularly like our speech, our confidence with speaking, and our pronunciation. So how do we do this? Well, initially perhaps it's more a capture of vocabulary. This might be on a particular topic, a particular situation we've got coming up we need to understand in detail. So to begin with, it's more like a vocabulary capture. Now, we can do this just by looking up relevant words for that particular topic, doing a lot of reading on that topic, maybe listening to videos, podcasts to do with that. But really then we're just looking at producing lists mainly of useful words, and particularly noting down the ones that were really new to us or we didn't understand. Now this is then where perhaps things like the flashcard method is very helpful to help us revise these new words, to help us memorize them a bit quicker. And then we're looking to put those into dialogues, ideally, that are going to be useful to us in those particular situations. We're trying to be as specific as we can as to which words, which phrases are the most useful in that situation. And we're going to practice those in different kind of ways, either like I showed you a couple of weeks back, looking for our maybe different times of the day when it's easier for us to practice different things. So I found that doing my fridge dialogues in the morning, I got my keywords or the phrases I need to revise for that week, and I revise those while I'm doing something, while I'm having my breakfast in the kitchen. So some of that then is again about looking at where in our day we've got more useful time and what can we do best in those time periods. So perhaps, let's say in the evening we have a bit more free time, that will be a time for us maybe to prepare more of our dialogues, do more in-depth reading, perhaps sort through material we've collated during the week or during the day, put that in some order and try and turn that into, like say, useful sentences or things we can use in our dialogues. And then throughout the rest of the following day, use that as when we have spare moments to either practice doing some reading of some of that dialogue material, or again, the thing I found really useful was just listening to podcasts on particular topics, because this let me listen to a variety of voices, different forms of expression on the same topic, as well as revising the key vocabulary. So that was very useful. So we've got capturing vocabulary, try to turn that into some kind of useful dialogue, things that we are going to need to say in particular situations. Practicing listening with like podcasts or other videos that deal with the same type of topics that we're trying to prepare for the dialogues. And then the final piece really is for us to speak. Now this also does help us a bit with the vocabulary, because the key way to do this is to read out loud. As we know, pick a new book on a different topic, or ideally on perhaps one of the topic areas you're looking to get better at, and read out loud. This way you're practicing the voice, getting more confident in how you sound, as well as improving your level of vocabulary, because this is the quickest way for us to widen our vocabulary. Especially as we're adult learners, we need to try and work on this quite hard because we lost a lot of time. So the more we can widen our vocabulary, the better. And this is one of the quickest ways to do that, reading on particular topics. So reading out loud. And then, as well as that, by listening to lots of different material, audio, podcasts, videos on particular topics. Again, we're getting used to listening, and then we can also try and repeat and mimic what we're hearing. At that point, we get to be self-critical. We can perhaps listen to a piece, see if we can repeat it, listen particularly to how the other person speaks. It's not necessarily to copy their accent exactly, but it's to maybe look more at the rhythm of their speech, the tempo. Because the closer we can get to that, the more likely we're going to sound like a native speaker. Even if our accent is slightly different, this should be no worse than in all countries we have different regional accents, even though we generally speak at a very similar tempo. That's the difference. So there we go. So we're looking at vocabulary capture, helping a bit of memorizing of some of those new words. We can do it maybe perhaps with flashcards or some other type of reading and repeating. We can then try and split the vocabulary we've got into more useful dialogues. So we're looking at useful sentences, things we can actually use. We can reinforce that by listening to podcasts perhaps, or watching videos which again cover the particular topics or the dialogues we're looking to improve in. So then we're getting to listen as well as speak. We can use reading out loud to improve our own confidence in how we sound. We can start being, again, a bit more critical in how we sound. Maybe record some of this, play it back, listen again, try again. We can use, again, examples from videos and podcasts to give us native speaker examples of how they sound in those particular situations. Try and copy those to get back the same tempo or rhythm of speech. And of course, when we're reading through books, the other way to do it to prove that we've understood it better is to summarize, either originally in our own language and then later on perhaps in the new language. So with all those techniques together, I think you'll find it's going to help you get a lot more confidence in not only just remembering useful words and phrases for particular situations, but also actually have confidence that you can say them. And you can actually use them in those particular situations. So I hope that's been helpful over these last 80 odd days. Certainly for me, I found that very useful. I think for me the reading out loud and the summaries of books was probably the most useful one for me, all in all, because that really helped me look at patterns in the language, different ways that native speakers phrase things, and that was something I was then able to take and use in the dialogue sentences I was writing for particular situations. So that's it for today. Déjame saber en los comentarios what you think, and buena suerte. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheerio for now.